right, welcome to another episode on Wisdom on the Front Porch. And on my front porch is Dina, and I'm so glad you're here, Dina. Why don't you tell our audience just a little bit about who you are, and then we'll get into our conversation.
Oh, thank you so much, Alice. It's a pleasure to be here. Um, my name is Dina Marais, and I'm the founder of Soul Purpose Publishing. And so I'm a seven-time international best-selling author, and I work with soul-led entrepreneurs to become best-selling published authors. I
Awesome.
also am a quantum human design coach and gene keys, so I use the what we call the incarnation cross and the gene keys activation keys to actually identify the patterns that you have and your soul path for forward.
Awesome. Awesome. Where are you located at?
I'm at the moment I'm in Cape Town, South Africa,
Okay.
and but I'm very excited to be moving to Madrid in August.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that is exciting. So, why did you choose Madrid?
Well, my daughter lives there,
Ah,
uh, and two grandchildren. So
oh, lovely. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about why you call it soul publishing.
I call it Soul Purpose Publishing. I've had this term with what I do, um, as long as I can remember. And when I started my my publishing business, I asked a friend, so what do you think I can call my business? And she said, why don't you call it Soul Purpose Publishing? I said, duh.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, you talked about something else that you do besides the publishing. Can you expand a little more on that?
Sure. I've been in coaching for a very long time, since 2002, and I've had several coaching certifications. And then I really started getting more into energetic work and energetic blueprints that we find in our, astrology, human design. Most people know nowadays about that. Numerology as well, gene keys. It's all about where the planets were at the time of your birth.
Right.
And so in human design, of course, there's a lot of information. But what really is important that I use, especially for authors, is the incarnation cross. What we ask is, where was the sun and the earth on the day of your birth, plus the lines. I know this sounds now very technical, and the unconscious side as well. And that is also your what we call your activation sequence in gene keys that shows you what are your shadows, what are your gifts, and what is your ultimate expression, and also what is your life's work. And it's got nothing to do with your occupation. What is your
Right.
life's work of your gene keys? What is your soul evolution? Uh, in other words, what is your soul contract as well? And your radiance and your purpose.
Wow, that's
Very
really
interesting.
interesting. I've never really heard about all of this before. Some of it a little bit, but not to this in depth. How long does it usually take you once a client comes to you, or I don't know, do you call them clients? A person comes to you and says, "All right, here I am. Let's figure it all out." So how long does that
Uh,
process usually take?
Well, just focusing on that, I have a preparation of about 2 to 3 hours because there's a
Okay.
lot of information. And I distill that down to an hour session to
Oh,
give them
wow.
an initial reading. I call it a mini reading. And from there, they can decide if they want to do a 3-month program or not. It's up to them. But what's really important, especially for creatives and authors, and we come into this life with a story. It's already imprinted in our energetic blueprint.
Oh,
And it's actually amazing, the things that we struggle with, it's already there. It's already, the story that we live is already in the blueprint. And that is so absolutely fascinating. So as we go through transformations in life and we rewrite those stories, and as we transform and grow and evolve, so does our story change.
yeah.
So
So that's what I was going to ask is it sounds like our story's already written. We have no choice in it, but you said that we rewrite our stories. We do have a choice.
we
And that's
always have a
right
choice, though.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to stay with what we have. Um, I've got a talk coming up in July 5th, and one of the things I put in there is that your past doesn't mean you have to stay with that. Maybe you made a mistake back then and you've been living with it for maybe even decades. You don't have to keep living with that mistake. So you're right. It's a choice we have. So those seem like kind of two different things. You have your story, you have what's going on, then you have your publishing company. But yet it's really not, is it? Because we can have our story and have all of the changes that we've made and choices we made, and then we can write about it and help other people as they go through their story.
Absolutely. That's what we do anyway as coaches, don't we?
Yes. Yeah.
We we go through something, we overcome it, and then we help others. We can't help it. We feel that drive to help others go through it. And I believe that's our spiritual, I don't want to call it a responsibility because we have free will to do it or not.
Right.
And we all have different ways of expressing that transformation. Some of us write about it, coach people about it, other people do something else with it.
Right.
So, but what is actually just amazing is that it just shows that, that we think sometimes we think we're crazy and we think that life has it in it for us.
Yeah.
Um, but actually, we have come here for a specific reason. And we have come here to honor our soul in this life. And it is incredibly helpful if we know that it's not random.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry for rubbing my eye continually. I just came inside from outside. I had to we've got one of our cattle has a leg issue. I think I got pollen or something in my eye. So
Oh,
apologize for rubbing it continually, but hopefully it'll clear out. It's
oh, I hope so. It's
like
so,
a little fuzzy thing in there. I can't.
yeah.
All right, so we'll continue on my, my issue. But so have you always done this? Is this something when you were little, it's like, I know what I need to do? Or how did you come about learning about all the different coaching that you do, going into knowing which program to go into, and how did you get into the publishing side of it?
That's a very long story, but let me start by saying in my previous life, I was in IT for more
Okay.
than 20 years. And then, um, you know, I stumbled upon NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and although I was very good at in IT, um, over time I knew there was something else out there for me.
Yeah.
And so when I always say when NLP and I met, it was love at first sight. I just knew this is amazing things here that I'm learning. And I'm also, of course, learning about myself,
Right.
because until you have any kind of awakening of knowing that, there's more to me than just this life, we become curious. And so that was my first spiritual awakening, I guess, of really delving into myself. And of course, typical IT professional, after a month, I decided I already have a program that I'm going to take people through.
Oh, nice.
So that's where it started with the coaching, and self-love has always been my focus in some or other way to discover more about ourselves and to love ourselves. And then so that went on for many years, and then in um, 2022, end of 21, beginning 2022, I had this opportunity to start my own publishing business. And that was amazing because, you know, um, I never thought about that. I never thought about that. I knew because I read that book by Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist. I
Okay.
read that, everybody knows that book. I read that book many years ago, and it had such an impact on me that I made this wish to the universe. And I said, I want to write stories like that, that really inspire people. But of course, I didn't.
Oh,
But when this came across my path, I had such a reaction in my body. I just knew this was me. Everything that I know, all my skills, coaching, organization, you know, all of that just fell into place.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And it feels
so
right.
that
It
is,
feels right.
it feels right. It feels right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I still love it. I really thoroughly enjoy it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. So, who typically do you help, either with writing books or with the NLP? Who would be your ideal person to come to you?
I always say I work with spiritual entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Coaches, healers, soul-led entrepreneurs, light workers. And my mission is really to support them to become best-selling authors so that they can grow their impact and their business
Yeah.
and have, their message, their story broadcast into the world, and use that, leverage that, the title of being a best-selling author, the book, the story, to grow their business, because that is the whole idea of writing a nonfiction book. It's the aim is not to make money with the sales, um, especially solopreneurs, unless you're of course James Clear. When you're writing a book like Atomic Habits, then that's a whole different story. But
Right.
for us solopreneurs, coaches, um, writing getting published elevates your brand. It really radically increases your credibility, your visibility, and your impact,
Yeah.
and of course your income. So that is the whole idea: is to have something on the back end that you can leverage your story and the book with.
So your book really is your business card with a huge impact. It's not
Yeah.
just something that somebody sees, sticks in their wallet, maybe sees it again when they take it out of their wallet. But with the book, they get to know you. They get to know who you are. They get to know what they can do for you to help support you, to get you where you need to go, to find out, are there any potholes on my journey that I need to avoid, and or are there side paths that I can take that aren't going to derail me from my path. Because there's a lot of options. We get bombarded constantly with this is what you need to do and that is what you need to do. To where if you have a book about what you do for somebody, they already know how you're going to help them. They know that you're being successful at it. I mean, you wrote the book on it, right? So,
Right, absolutely. Because in a chapter in a book, or your solo book, you describe and you basically demonstrate to the reader that you have been where
mhm.
they are now.
Yeah.
And through your story, you show them that you can lead them to where they want to go, to where they want to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the multi-author books as well. You know, it's a condensed version of your of the story of you know of your journey, but it's also an advertorial for you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you showcase yourself, you showcase your experience, you showcase your, you know, your photo is in there, your the links to all your, you know, three or five or two or how many links to your site and whatever you want to have in there, your bio, it's all there. So,
Yeah.
you know, the right person read your message and say, wow, I want to know more about this person. I want to know more. I can connect with her. She can help me.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah,
That's right. And
absolutely.
that's really important because it's one thing to write a book and then you've got it, but then people don't know how to get a hold of you, unless you tell them in it. And yeah, I have the collaborative books, the anthologies where several people have written in them, and some of them don't have how to get a hold of them. They just talk about, their story and what they've done, and it's like, well, if I want to know more, if I want to work with this person, I have to go start researching. And for some people,
Mm.
that can be a daunting task. And so, yeah, it is important to have your links right in there or how to contact you right away. That's important. I do want to go back to the NLP a little bit, and it's great because I think what you're saying is you help people discover their purpose and what they're really here on earth for, what they were
Yeah,
born
that's
into,
actually the not the NLP, but that is the human design
the human
and
design.
and
Okay.
and and the gene keys. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Because a lot of people are always asking, well, what am I doing? And they may be in a job that they've loved for years and they're finally at the point that's like, I really want my life to mean more than this. So what else is there? That was one of the things I heard the most, especially from people that have had a successful career. And it's like, I've put all these years in promoting this company. Now it's time for me to retire, or I'm not satisfied here, or the company's been taken over by another company, whatever the reasons are,
Mm.
grandkids have moved out, or the kids are getting older and in high school, and I want to make sure that I have something because, our lives have been wrapped around taking care of the family, taking care of the home, and there's got to be more out there for me. Um, so it's good to find out what that is. As someone's faith-based, it's like, I could go into the whole thing of, well, your purpose is already designed. This is what you're called to do. But not everybody is faith-based like me. So they need somewhere to know what to do. And that's where Dina comes in.
I can definitely show them a direction
Yeah,
of, you know, but you know, if you think about, as I said earlier, your purpose in the gene keys is not so much about what you do,
right.
it's how you be.
Ah, very good.
So your purpose in doing really can be anything. That's why we have talents, we have natural skills, we have passions, we
Yeah,
have things that we're naturally good at. And any one of those is perfect.
yeah, yeah,
It's perfect. If it resonates with your heart, if it gives you joy, that is the measure.
that's it right there.
Whatever that is, there is absolutely no limitation to that. Nobody has to do or be anything. Um, it's what comes naturally to you. It's your
Yeah.
heart.
And I loved what you said earlier about loving yourself because a lot of people don't love themselves.
Mm.
There's a verse in the Bible that says, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, if you don't love yourself, how are you going to love your neighbor? And so it's important for people to understand, what does that mean to love yourself? Maybe you can expand on that for us.
Oh, with pleasure. Um, I think the most important thing for people is that they don't realize who they really are.
Hmm.
We only see as far as our eyes can see,
Or what
and
people have told us.
what people have told us. But we are so much more than the body that we have. When I tell my clients, you are not your mind, because that is actually the worst, the thing. If we are mind identified, if we believe the mind, the chatter, that makes us feel miserable and inadequate and all of that, then we really go through life as a victim of life.
Oh,
And we don't realize, we are not the mind. We are not even the thoughts. We are not the emotions. We are the awareness of the thoughts and of the mind. And once I can make that distinction, that we actually disidentify from the mind into presence, because when we live in the now, when we can come back into our heart, there's no mind there.
yeah,
But the ego develops as we grow up, and it develops strategies to protect us. And the ego is initiated by the soul. But then often what happens is through conditioning
yes,
of our, through society, our parents, and there's no such thing as bad parenting. We all go through the same individuation process. It's part of our spiritual journey. Um, But all of that imprinting, that conditioning, the ego then develops and forgets to upgrade, if, as it were, because people into their adulthood can still remember the fear from childhood. So it's like the life has moved on, but not the software
yeah.
in us. So
And
we
there's
need to upgrade that.
yeah, there's other authors who've made careers out of talking about that the mind is not where you are. You've
No.
got your subconscious and you can change it. Bob Proctor, Jim
Yes.
Rohn, um, Napoleon Hill. There's others out there that talk about that. And you are more than your mind. You are not just that one thing. So, yes, bringing in the heart, accepting that there's more to you than just these thoughts that are going in, because otherwise, why would we be told to capture those thoughts, those negative thoughts, and get rid of them? You
Get
know,
rid of them. And
yeah,
of course, the easiest way to do that is to become aware of them.
yes,
And we become aware of what we're thinking by becoming aware of how we feel.
yeah,
If we can be aware, and especially when your mood change and you feel down, is to or you feel negative towards something, is to ask yourself, what am I thinking about this?
yeah, yeah,
you know, because that is the thing that needs to change. And those thoughts often comes from childhood. It comes from society. It comes from parents, caregivers, teachers, their mindset, their views about something that
right,
we have inherited. That is not true for us, but it's an automatic default thinking pattern. And that's something. And the wonderful thing is that besides coming into the now where there is no mind and train yourself to be present, it is also to train the mind, to uplift the mind. Train your brain, have that discipline. Think about who you want to be.
yeah,
Who do you really want to be? Do you want to be the angry or depressed or, miserable person? Or do you want to be happy? And do you want to be powerful and successful? And then, create that persona, because the external world is a hologram. It is not real. It's an illusion. It is only a reflection of your inner landscape to
yeah,
the outer world. That is how powerful we are.
yeah. I've got a timer set on my phone. Whoop, there's my phone. Um, that at a certain time every day, I just be. And someone suggested this to me last month. So it's something new I've been trying. And it's interesting to me. At first it was really tough to just sit and be still and just be. And it's like, well, what does that mean to be? It's like you're just there. You're in the moment. You're kind of telling everything else, just leave me alone for a little bit.
Hmm.
Let me recharge. Let me just be happy with who I am. And there's techniques to do that, but it's amazing what a difference just a few minutes just to be by yourself and to take that time. And it's not really I don't I don't really consider it meditation. Sometimes I think of, okay, I'm going to take this time and I'm just going to see me in the future being happy, doing what I want to really do and successful, whatever successful is in your mind, and just enjoy that moment just to be whatever it is I want to be. Maybe I just want to picture myself sitting by the lake with a fishing pole and not really catching any fish, but just sitting there and enjoying it. And that could be a way to be. Is just go sit at the park and just be still for a while, enjoy the nature around you, hear what's going on. Um,
Just
whatever
pause.
you can find. Take that 14-minute walk around the block, For me, it's walking out to the mailbox, coming back. It takes about 15 and a half minutes to do that. But but it's that time you need to just give your body, give your energy, give your mind a
A
break.
pause. Give it a
Yes,
pause.
yes,
It's to pause. Just
yeah,
pause from this crazy world that we live in and come back to, as you say, just come back to be. Just
right.
breathe. Feel your breath. Notice things around you without judging it. Just look at it. Just see how still everything is
Oh, yeah,
and how quiet everything is. And the more we do that, the more we get used to that. It's
yeah,
incredible. It's incredible. It's a joy that comes from within. And we start connecting with our inner being. We start connecting with God in us.
yeah.
And that is a beautiful experience and a way of being.
Absolutely. You're talking about how we think, and it brought to my memory the book by James Allen, how as a man thinketh, 45 pages, most
Yeah.
powerful book. I mean, there's a lot in there. Don't think you're going to, oh, I'll just read 45 pages and that's it. No, you're going to know you read that book when you finished reading it. But it's talking about all of this, talking about where your mind is. And it's important to know to be able to do these things because that really opens up and releases your creativity, your imagination. We would not have dryers without someone's creativity and imagination. We would not be going to the moon or to Mars or wherever without someone's imagination and creativity. We wouldn't have big pins, without somebody's creative
With everything,
imagination.
everything
Yeah,
started with a thought.
yeah.
Absolutely. And
So
it's
I don't,
it's to not use your mind to, oh, excuse me,
that's
I
okay.
interrupted you, but it's not to use your mind to figure out your problems. The
Yeah,
mind isn't made for that. That's the ego. It will make you think that it can figure out the problem, but it can't because it is the problem. There are no problems. I have life situations, but
yeah,
the main thing is that is to use your imagination, um, use the imagination of your mind, as you say, Alice, to dream, to
yeah,
be in that reality with those emotions and feel that joy, and go there as often as you can,
yeah.
and from there be centered, because that is the key
Right.
to loving ourselves, to become more of aware of who we really are, and just to stop. What really breaks self-love down is when we start comparing and competing.
Yes.
and judging and criticizing and complaining and blaming. It's all behaviors of the victim self or the false self that is, of course, mind identified, is to is to really just love what is. Love what is. Stop fighting the universe because it's going to unfold anyway without your permission.
That's right.
It doesn't need your permission for the next moment.
That's
So
right.
be at ease with it. And it brings us peace.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when we can do that, as you say, then you have space to create. Otherwise, we don't have space because everything is cluttered
Yeah.
uh, with the
And we don't
mind.
have the energy because we're so restrained with all of this pressure, and you need to just release everything and breathe.
And breathe. Absolutely. Let the energy can flow through. We need to relax and
Yeah.
trust. And I find that that is also, in working with this, with my authors and the Gene Keys, it's really evident for me that there are a few key factors. One is, of course, that we are not present.
Right.
We are mind identified. And because of that is that we try and force, we try and make things happen. And of course, that never goes well. The other thing is that we don't trust. We want to control everything. And of course, that comes from childhood, where and I always say that nobody comes through childhood unscathed. There is
Right.
always, we all have some kind of trauma, whether it's big or small, doesn't matter. But that the result of that is that we want to control our lives and everyone in it because that makes us feel safe. And then the idea to let go of that control and trust that we are supported, that is a big thing for humanity. That is
Yes.
the biggest thing is to let go and trust that you are supported.
Right.
And and of course that, and the whole thing about the victim, the complaining, the blaming, all of those behaviors, that victim self that we all have a victim self and a creator self, is to just choose and become aware where you are at so that you can choose to shift. But that is all about, that external validation,
Mhm.
about seeing our outer life as the thing that we need to achieve. And we can't create the life that we want from the outside in. You must do it from the inside out. And when we can drop that, we can drop the external validation, the asking for approval, the things to please people, to get them to like us, to approve of us, then we are halfway there. Then self-love becomes possible. Then we can start accepting ourselves and know that everything that happens is actually for us,
Nice.
even though we don't realize that and it doesn't look like it, it's still for us because we are here on a path, we are here on a soul journey, and
Right.
it's not supposed to be easy. We are here to go through the suffering and struggle so that we can find our way home. It's
Right.
part of this journey. And if we can start seeing that and really, really become rather curious about it and think, so how do I do this differently? Or how do I create the life that I really want? And does that look like? And start dreaming and start coming, that peace inside. It opens up that creativity and synchronicity starts to happen. It's magical.
I love that you're talking about that it can be difficult. And anytime that you start an exercise program, you start working out at the gym, you're learning a new language, you're learning a new skill, you always go through that difficult time because it's something you don't know. You're not familiar with it. And so you've got to just stick with it because you know you're going to get past that part and you're going to see the change. You're going to see the rewards. You're going to see the tone up going. You're going to see you're able to speak a different language or whatever skill, whether it's painting, anything that you're doing, you're going to learn it. Same thing goes with working with what's inside of us. And sometimes we don't want to bring those things out. We don't want um, to have those memories or things, but maybe it's something that you need to take out and get rid of. So it's not always
Yeah.
there in the back of your mind, even if you don't want to acknowledge it.
The thing is, it's in our bodies, it's in our muscle memory.
Yes,
And, as I said earlier, we come into this life with a story, and it's not just our own story, it's generations often.
that's
And
right.
we are here to break the patterns of that. That's our
Yeah,
responsibility. Um, but absolutely, we are supposed, and it's not to dwell in the negative memories, it's just to let it come up. And the big thing is that no thought or emotion can actually kill you or hurt you. But if we can just face it and let it be, it will stay in you for about 2 seconds and go and release it. And if
yeah,
you stay in your awareness without getting pulled in by it, and just say, okay, I see that. I'm not that anymore, or I'm the one that's aware of that, and just let it release
yes.
because it comes up to be released.
That's a really good point. When I started really learning about what meditation was and and the proper use of it. And one of the things was when those thoughts come in, acknowledge them. Because if you don't, they're going to keep coming back and they're going to get louder and noisier. So you acknowledge that it's there and it's like, okay, I hear you. I know you're there, but this is not your place. So just go away.
Mm.
And then they'll come back again. And eventually you're going to realize it's like, oh, I don't even have those thoughts anymore. And it's really kind of freeing to know that all those things that used to bombard me aren't even in existence anymore
Mm.
because I, in my words, captured those thoughts and I did something with them. I didn't keep beating them down or
Mm.
let them go get friends and come back. Like, okay, here you are. And I recognize you. I see that you're there, but you go you go live somewhere else now. You don't live here anymore. So that's wonderful. Dina, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate all your insight. And there's never enough hours in a day to have, a 2 or 3 hour long conversation.
I know, I know. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do people get a hold of you?
I think the easiest is my website, www.dinamarais.com. And on there you will see everything. There's a tab there, work with me. If you click on there, you'll see all the opportunities that you can work with me, to
Wonderful.
explore. And yeah, we always have multi-author books that we're filling. We have two at the moment, Divine Rebirth and Miracles Are Normal. Beautiful books. We have, and solo books and partnership books and publishing services and human design and all kinds of beautiful things
Awesome.
to help people shine in this world.
I love that. Well, you can see shine with LS. That's my word. That's something I've done all my life. It's just shine. And you need to. You need to let yourself shine because people really, really need that light inside of you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dina, for being here, and thank you, our audience, for taking the time to spend with us. And we'll see you next time on Wisdom on the Front Porch.
thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Wisdom on the Front Porch with your host, Ellis Kirkpatrick. You can find us on our website, wisdomonthefrontporch.com, see previous episodes of the podcast, and view issues of the magazine. Did you know you can submit questions, leave reviews, or suggest topics? You can also tell us where your favorite front porch location is and what it means to you. We hope you gain value and insight from today's or previous talks. We appreciate your support for us so we can continue to provide value and expertise to you and others. Subscribe to Wisdom on the Front Porch magazine and join in next week when we bring you another great insight into the world of entrepreneur culture and lifestyle. Make today a great day. Always believe that something wonderful is going to happen.